So then, the centre straight awaits for these cars. We're about to get racing for 45 minutes. It's another pit stop race, of course, with the multiple drivers assigned to one car. And the race is on. It's a drag race between the Caterham and the Volkswagen Golf as we get underway with this rolling start. And it is going to be Alex Jones that leads them into the first corner, but not by terribly much. In fact, it might not be anything at all, because Callum McDougall was trying to go the long way around there. Did he make it stick? I don't think he quite did. Some grass being kicked up further back, but I don't think there are any cars off circuit. And isn't that a study in contrast? The big Golf looking like a van in comparison to the Caterham as they run through the first few corners.
That's a very, very good metaphor there. It's exactly what it looks like. But everyone making their way through now. Of course, you know, a grid of at least 30 cars trying to take the start. Not always easy, but it looks like they've done well so far.
They have managed to keep themselves clean in the first few corners. Donovan in the 112 car. Stuart Donovan in third place. He's held on to that position, but there comes the 114 car, the Hayes family EST Performance Golf going around the outside. They're still side by side as they head towards Hamilton, and the Golf is ahead. So that was a very good driving there from Jamie Hayes to take the car up to third place. The Mark V Golf, complete with many an aero appendage, up into third position.
Yeah, there you can see the EST Performance 148. Alex Reed behind the wheel of that one as they now make their way through these next couple of corners in through Williams and then making their way through. But we've got a spinner, it's the Civic, it's the 88 car. The 88 car, the DP Service Racing car of Damien Chupchalski, who's managed to spin his way around, gives it the old windscreen wipers, and away he goes again.
It's a bit of a scrabble there as Callum McDougall gets up the inside of the lead. Well, I didn't expect the Caterham to outdrag the Golf, but I think that might have been what happened there. McDougall into the lead. And Alex Jones demoted to second place, maybe just tucking into what I'm sure is a significant slipstream for the Caterham behind the Golf.
You're talking about punching a hole through the air for the Caterham. That's a massive, massive hole that he's got there. But you see number 93 trying to squeeze its way through. Alex Baldwin in the Knockout Racing Honda Civic trying to find a way up the inside and trying to make that move stick. And to try and hold on there and see if that move would stick. Meanwhile, then on the exit coming out of Murray's and on towards centre straight, our leaders are Nip and Tug at the moment. At the moment, it's going to be Team Hard Racing who are going to try and find their way back through and back into the lead of the race.
Alex Jones back into the lead. He's becoming a hardened racer already. I think this morning was only his second ever motor race, so Jones is adapting quickly. He bought this car with the intention of going track day racing.
He's certainly doing that right now, and he's got Callum McDougall for good company in these early stages of this race. So let's see. That should be a very interesting first stint for both of them.
Definitely should be, yes. You don't buy a car off of Tony Gillan for a track day and expect to not get sold a race drive eventually. And Tony managed to wrangle him into the world of racing. I don't think it's a world he's going to escape anytime soon. He's already caught the bug. I spoke to him during the lunch break, firmly excited about this weekend, and a joy to have in the paddock as well. Always good to have eager newcomers in the world of racing. And you see there the Golf leading the Caterham as they go through Oggies further back. The 112 car under pressure, that's Donovan of course in the Celica, under pressure from Michael Rawlings. So Rawlings in the 41 car will take over, or will be taken over eventually by David Zakshevsky. Zakshevsky will take the second stint of this race as you see the 37 car under threat. Not quite the shining start I was expecting actually out of Semperini Racing's Jeremy Evans, down in 9th place from 4th on the grid. Must have had some kind of issue out there on the circuit and is now scrapping for 8th place.
Must have been. I'll tell you what though, after a slow start, Alex Jones has really got himself winding the car up as he starts to build the gap between himself and McDougall. So interesting to see how that goes. But back for third place as well is heating up as they're making their way through in towards Coram and then on their way towards Murray's third and fourth place in fact.
Of course, the one thing to remember, the one thing in favour of McDougall is that the Gillam Jones car, the Golf, doesn't actually conform to the power to weight ratio classes in this category, so it's a little bit overpowered for the racing cars we've got up against it, but nonetheless, very good job from Alex Jones as side by side further back in the pack. That's the 14 car having a good scrap for what? 13th place potentially, or is it fallen downhill? In fact, Lally is making up a load of positions in that 28 Fiesta, 18th last time across the line. What is Aaron Lally going to be in by the time they cross the line this time? He's up to 16th place, so 2 positions gained on that, 4 positions lost by the driver of the 14. And look at the Honeybone Clio, already up into 18th place. Well, Ray wanted to go, and he's pushing on.
He's pushing on, of course. Ray Honeybone starting from the back. Of course, they didn't qualify for this race. They wanted to enter because Ray wanted to have a bit of fun, and he's having fun now. He's going up the inside of the number 14 Misfit Racing. Steve Begbie behind the wheel there, but Ray Honeybone making his way through. Meanwhile, that 66 car, the Bora Motorsport car, Jack Hargraves trying to find his way through as well.
Yeah, so Fiesta versus Civic there, or sorry, Focus versus Civic, I should say, going through Agostini as the Honeybone team. The Apple Car Centre crew will continue to watch on with interest as the Clio cars through the order. Through goes Ray up against Lally, Aaron Lally, who has to yield 16th position after what looked like quite a quick lap in the Fiesta. Looking at the 93 car there, it could well be the next target for Honeybones. The Honeybone family in the 44 car. I'm sure that Jordan's going to be watching this with interest and just a little bit of glee.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about overall race results, but as you can see on your left-hand side, those are your class leaders at the moment, and it's hard to forget, or hard to remember sometimes, that these are separate classes, although they're battling for position. The drivers will convince you they're battling everyone for position. They are definitely separated into classes, and that's a bit of bodywork damage actually for the Misfit Racing Steve Begbie on the rear right-hand quarter panel. Meanwhile, Ray Honeybone's having more moves trying to add to his order.
Honeybone, who starts at the very bottom of the order, is already breaking into the top 15, looking at the inside there of the 93 car, which I believe is being soloed by Alex Baldwin. Goodall was added to the car, but I haven't got any word as to whether he's actually here. Honeybone under pressure, or rather pressuring, I should say. He's the one delivering all the pressure at the moment in the Apple Car Centre car, always an immaculately turned out machine. They've decided to run the risk of scratching the paint by starting from the back, and so far it's been brilliant entertainment. It's been great to watch, hasn't it? I'm sure Ray's got a huge smile beaming on his face then as they now make their way up towards Riches, and that's another position then for Ray Honeybone. I'm getting the feeling he might feel halfway through he doesn't actually want to give the car back. Well, you know, they did the other race solo, Jordan did the other race solo, so why should Ray hand it over? Here's the million-dollar question. Great scrap for third place, just coming out of Agostini on towards Hamilton at the moment. That's in the middle of the circuit, and we've got a great scrap going on at the moment. Had a change of position in third, I believe, in favour of the Reed family, or rather, sorry, the Golf. Completely lost track of my numbers there, if I'm being completely honest. I think that's the Reed family Golf, actually, that I'm thinking of, the 148 car of Alex and Daniel Reed. They were briefly down into fourth place and now moved back into third, and it's quite a scrap there in the top 3 positions. Nonetheless, here we are. This is what we're talking about. This is the Celica pressuring Donovan in the 112 car all over the back of Alex Reed. That's not Alex Reed with an E, that's someone who races in Durocat quite a lot, or at least is represented in the Durocat quite a lot. Donovan then in that 112 car, Toyota Celica, of course front wheel drive, that Celica, as is the Golf ahead. BMW behind, however, is rear wheel drive. The number 41 car of Michael Rawlings, which is the leading Class C car at the moment, but not by much, because the 24 is not far behind. The 24 being the JP Racing of Jonathan Pascal. That's one of the Honda Civics further back in the pack. And look at Evans, he's on the fight back, isn't he? All over the back of the BMW for 6th place at the moment. Sorry, make that 5th place. Evans already up to 6th place, of course, started in 4th, fell to the very fringes of the top 10. Still under pressure from the 17 Mini as well. That's Freddie Hewitt. Great little scrap this for 5th place.
It's great, isn't it? Absolutely Morgan as well, the number 17 Freddie Hewitt Racing. Freddie Hewitt in his Mini trying to join in onto this battle as well as they make their way now in towards Palmer and up towards Agostini. They will go. It's one of those races where there's so much action happening, we're not really sure where to look, as where we look is there's great battling.
Yeah, no matter who you've got your eyes on around the circuit, you'll find a scrap at this stage of the race, and just running wide there in the 37 car once again. Evans maybe trying a bit too hard at the moment in the Semprini racing car. Jeremy Evans under threat from the chasing pack. The 148 car remains in third place then with Alex Reed at the wheel. Donovan just lurking behind in that 112 car out of the 7 Motorsports stable. Stuart Donovan. It's of course a Class B car, so that's the top class in this MSB Track Day Trophy category. There's another Celica a little further back, that's the 21 car, which is a Class C entrant. As a matter of fact, and one car well off on the grass there, not sure whom that was, but there was a lot of grass kicked up on the Bentley straight. It may well have been one of these guys at the front of the order, because it seems to have not jumbled slightly again, but the gaps have switched around all over again, and now the 41 car of Rawlings. It's right on the back of that Celica once again. And of course, remember, a different class, Class C car, the E36 in 5th overall.
As well as that, we're not too far away. Whoa, that's a huge move then from Michael Rawlings. He's got the move done then and moves ahead of Alex Reed in the 149. Needed a bit of grass to do it, but I've got to be honest, he's held that together. Phenomenal stuff. That's going to allow though Alex Reed down the centre straight, and as they head towards the line, Reed can just power his way back past and take back that position. And Michael Rawlings, after all that hard work and effort going through Coram, has to concede the position as the Celica behind also fancies its chances. The 7 Motorsports Stuart Donovan trying to move up the inside. No go for there as they make their way up towards the hairpin at Wilson.
Wow. Fabulous racing this, isn't it? For third overall, up into 4th place then has gone our Class C leading car at the moment, driven by Michael Rawlings. He will hand over to Zakshevsky later in the race, of course, and well, no pressure if you have the car over in the overall top 5. The 148 car of Alex Reed under pressure then from Rawlings, who's driving like a man possessed in the 36 at the moment, trying to go around the outside at Ago. Doesn't happen often. It did happen on that occasion, although look at the Celica on the comeback as well. Donovan in the 112 car. Evans is there in the 37, has moved up into 5th place. So the Semprini Honda of Jeremy Evans is up into P5 at least for now, and that car should have the straight line speed advantage over the BMW E36 ahead. Looking further back to the 11 car, that is Chris Warwick in the Moran Motorsport number 11. Looking back towards somewhere near the sharp end, we want to see that battle for third place again. They'll be heading towards the end of the straight right now, and who's going to be at the head of it? I can only guess. Here we go.
Well, did anybody tell them they're all in separate classes? I mean, it's quite phenomenal as Reed then tries to hang on to the position then, as we've seen already down the centre straight. He's got the grunt against the BMW there, trying to now go through the corners, through the Coram then. It's a long right hander got on first off though. Now comes Coram. We've got to really hang it in there and be patient on the power, and then immediately after that comes the braking zone down at Murray's to really just challenge that change of direction and that weight transfer of the car, as then you apply the anchors down in towards the final braking zone, and on the power they will go. And Michael Rawlings here might use a little bit of the toe from Alex Reed to try and find his way past, but Semprini Racing, Jeremy Evans in his Honda Civic Type, he's been absolutely charging through the black and white flag, going out to the number 17 car, Freddie Hewitt, for track limits.
Well, Hewitt is pursuing, of course, there in the Mini, the 17 car, the Mini R56, the second generation BMW Mini that you see there in 7th overall, currently fighting as well for 5th in Class B. There's the Honeybone car. We haven't caught up with Ray in a little while. How's he doing on the timing screens now? I think he may have made another position. Yes, up to 13th overall now, and surging up towards the Class B front runners. Going to be very interested to see where Jordan is by the end of this race.
Absolutely. That's if Ray hands it over to Jordan, of course. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But
keep close eyes on the pit lane.
Absolutely. But yeah, let's see that great battle, because here it is again. That's the Civic there, the number 13 77 of Jeremy Evans, who fancies his chances now against Alex Reid. He managed to find his way past Michael Rawlings now. He now fancies a chance to try and get the move done on Alex Reid. He has to work hard for it though against the VW, but my goodness, that Civic is charging hard.
Really is. Yeah, the Semperini Racing Honda Civic 37 car is pressuring the 148 car, the Reid family car, in third overall. Great scrap as they head out onto the onto the Bentley Straight, I should say. Only two of them, I imagine, get them mixed up occasionally. There you saw Callum McDougall in second place, still not a million miles off the back of Alex Jones at this stage. It was just 2.4 seconds last time by. Alex Jones already deep in the lap traffic, and it can be very difficult to pick through the traffic. Pit window has opened incidentally as well, so drivers are now able to make their scheduled stops as and when they wish. Back to this third place battle that we were looking at before then, and Alex Reid still under a huge threat here from Jeremy Evans, who is driving out of his skin. He's back up to where he started in fourth place, had a horrible first lap. Never mind, make that fifth place, goes through into fourth place goes Michael Rawlings for the time being, but the Class C car should have less grunt in the straight line. It does, and Evans takes the opportunity to go straight back through.
Well, he absolutely clouted the curb there, didn't he, trying to get that move done, but it's going to cost him a little bit of momentum in his car that, of course, is not going to match the Class B cars around him. Full pace on the straight up in towards Rich as we go, and he's hanging on in there. Vasily has to go the long way round, and meanwhile, then the number 17, Freddie Hewitt, fancies his chances in the Mini up towards Wilson. There is Alex Reid then. He gets a little bit of breathing space, which is something he's not had all race long.
Not really, no. You can clatter curbs all you want. Or shock absorbers, right? They're meant to absorb shocks. That's how that works. Can you tell I'm not a mechanic? The Donovan car down in 6th place then. The Salika seems to have just gradually fallen off in that battle for third place. It's now down in 6th and under pressure from the Mini of Hewitt, as we saw. We're just looking at Lally there for a moment, all the way down in 21st now. So after some early speed shown by the number 28 Ford Fiesta of Aaron Lally, now outside the top 20, so it seems to be a mixed race so far for the driver of the little Fiesta with the rather large wing.
Absolutely, and with the pit window open, we're seeing the first of the teams into the pit lane. That's Bora Motorsport. Jack Hargraves in the pits. Of course, a bit of adjustment of tyre pressures. He's a lone driver, so he just sits in the car until the minimum pit window has passed, and he'll be able to get his way back onto track.
Sometimes when I've been down there in these pit stop races doing interviews mid-race, I've had drivers who've literally shown up on their own, asked me to open their door and then close it again because they want a bit of air during the pit stop. Sometimes they really do show up as a one-man band, and it is admirable to see. The spirit of club racing is always evident in these MSV Track Day trophy events. So many different cars on show. Golf versus BMW at the moment, and up the inside went Rawlings once again. Once again, this is for, well, now it's for fourth place, of course, because Evans has got through into third in the Civic just ahead of them. And Rawlings, contact between, Michael Rawlings and Alex Reid making contact. Reid just tapped the back of the BMW. Innocent bystander in that was the number 4 Renault Clio, and that's unfortunate for Ollie Moss. It's unfortunate there going in towards Murray's as Alex Reid then hits the back of the BMW, both coming off with a little bit of damage, and well, the pit window's not too far away, but as you say there, the number 4 Ollie Moss, just an innocent bystander in that one, really had to take to the grass. I'm not sure whether he picked up any damage. He might have got away with that scot-free, but here he comes into the pit lane. We're about to find out. Yes, I'd rather suggest that it may have been at least a little tap. Let's hope that it's nothing more major or indeed sinister than that. Other cars just tumbling out of the pit lane. Of course, that's Hargraves, who was one of the first to bite the bullet, just heading back out onto the circuit. And well, that Reid family Golf is not as immaculate as it once was, is it? As it follows the 17 car, still 6th overall, even with that drama, is Alex Reid. I'm sure that will be looked into, the incident there between Reid and Rawlings. I'm sure that wasn't pleasant viewing for Rawlings' teammate Zachshevsky either. The 444 car in.
And Andy Coombs coming out of the car. Jay Coombs will be taking over as he jumps into the car. And will help his stint coming very, very shortly. Of course, he's got to serve the minimum pit stop time.
Yes, I believe it's 2 minutes if memory serves me correctly, and gives them time to make sure the belts are done up properly, gives them time to make sure the tyre pressures are correct and suitable for the following stint. And of course, it also means that if you do show up with a rather good team, I mean, let's be real, Alex Jones and Tony Gillen literally have a touring car team with them, Team Hard of course. If we were just running 3 pit stops, I'm sure they could get it done in 15 seconds flat, but we don't want to see that because not everyone can do the same thing. There is a 41 car just making up a position there. That was just going past the 27 machine, I think that was. 24, sorry, yeah, so Pascal, Jonathan Pascal in the Civic Type R. So even with some loose bodywork on the rear end of that E36, it seems as though Rawlings is improving up the order. In fact, that was for the Class B lead, so back up into 7th overall, and the Class B lead has got a determined Michael Rawlings. And well, the next car ahead happens to be the one that he made friends with a couple of laps ago.
Absolutely, yeah. Ollie Moss came into the pits. He's now rejoined onto the circuit with number 4, and well, hopefully there's not like too much damage there in the party. But
I was more referring to the 148 car, to be honest with you. That's the next target for Rawlings on the overall standings.
Well, the thing is as well for Rawlings, that bit of bodywork underneath the car, trailing behind. I wouldn't be surprised if they're keeping an eye on that on the officials here, because we have seen, you know, the black and orange circle flag for some. Well, we have seen it today, so you know they'll be keeping an eye on it. As well as that, Alex Reid, that front bonnet as well, although it's slightly crumpled, they want to be careful that it doesn't completely come off the match.
No, it looks like it's fairly safe in place. That's really what they look for in this situation. Is just, does it look like it's about to immediately fly off into the undergrowth? And I think in the case of the front end of that Golf, it certainly doesn't appear to be the case, but I'm not so sure about the rear end of the BMW. It has got some trim hanging off the rear. Will we see the Alex Jones car in this time? Looks as if we will. Yes, we will. Coming in just behind the slow back marker. I'm sure that's frustrating for Alex. He's only 3 races in, but I'm sure he's already yelling, going, "Come on, what a quick pit stop!" And Tony Gillen will take the car over. Of course, the ex-BTCC driver has been given a handy lead here, or will have been given a handy lead once all comes out in the wash, one would suspect, unless Callum McDougall performs a master stroke and or Team Hard have a troubled pit stop. The stops continue to flow.
They do indeed, and of course they'll keep on flowing. There's still quite a few drivers out there, teams out there I should say, that have yet to serve their mandatory stop. Of course you have the pit window, which is open. It's not going to be open for too much longer. It's open until the last 15 minutes of the race, so we've got about 6 or so minutes left until that pit window comes to a close, and if you haven't stopped it, it is a very, very harsh penalty. Worse than the penalty we saw early on for today in an earlier race for the short stop. You know, that was unlapped. If you miss the pit window completely, it's even more.
Oh yes, they don't judge such things at all in a friendly manner, and why should they? They're quite carefully stated rules, you know, if you enter the race. If you miss the pit window, that's your problem. I've seen that happen before in GT races and things of that nature. It's never looked upon very nicely when you miss your pit window. The 17 car has managed to get back around 41, so Hewitt and Rawlings are now having quite a good battle here. Four-time mate currently 4th position, although the pit window cycle, of course, is having its effect on which position this is actually for right now. The Fat Racing Team Focus, I'm only reading what it says on their bonnet, is in Paul Hatton taking the wheel, and they are indeed entered as Fat Racing Team, so they've clearly chosen their identity and they are sticking with it. Good to see that that Focus is out there this weekend. It's rather plain liveried. It almost looks like someone's just stuck some numbers on a road car and said, why not?
Well, do you know what? Sometimes less is more. There's a little wave. little wave there from Paul Hatton, I believe. So yeah, Paul's ready to go, and we'll see how he gets on in his second stint.
Yeah, absolutely. I think runs at the Castle Coombe Hot Hatch Championship at times. A driver who we're very happy to welcome into MSVT Track Day Trophy for this weekend, and you just saw there the Caterham of McDougall continuing to press on. Makes everything around it look about 3 times larger. Look at that huge limo. Wait, no, it's a BMW compact going past there. Here's McDougall. Compact.
And it looks like that against the Caterham.
Indeed, yeah, the BMW 3 Series compact, which was kind of a precursor to the 1 Series. Once they had a 1 Series, was there any point having a small 3 Series? The kind of wonderful discussions had in German War in circa 2004. And McDougall just continuing to slide through the lap traffic. Good use of the indicators there from the driver of the triple 43 Clio. So that would be a very, very studious Joe Hurrell, I believe, taking the wheel at that point. Into the pits has gone the 17 car. Nice zooming, Jeremy. Hewitt in. And so that will be, of course, not a driver change, because that is another solo car. Freddie Hewitt at the wheel now, and will be at the wheel when they go back out onto the circuit.
Airedale racing into the pits, the number 21, and Wayne Cockrell coming into the pits. And meanwhile, a bit of tyre adjustments, maybe making sure that tyre stays on. I think that's a wise move then from the Long4 team, that is for sure. EST Performance, Daniel Reed now taking over from Alex Reed. And of course, with that damaged car at the front, doesn't seem like it's, well, I was going to say, how is it looking in performance? Is there any way we can tell just by the lap times alone what that car is performing like? And
not on an in-lap, we won't.
No, I suppose not, but yeah, we'll find out in a minute once Daniel heads out onto the track.
It certainly didn't look too much slower in the laps following the collision and the damage. So I think they'll be okay to continue scrapping for a top 5 overall position. The bad boy tuning car, the number 17. I do like the headlamps on this car. I don't know if you've noticed that, the angry eyes on the Mini. There you see the right headlamp, and certainly seems like a very well sorted bit of kit.
Yes, Freddie Hewitt's had a good first stint and trying to challenge away for top 6 overall, and he's ready and waiting to go for his second stint. In fact, he's so eager to go, he's already starting to roll. There he goes then. Of course, it's a minimum 2 minutes pit lane time rather than pit stop time. So as long as you're in the pit lane for 2 minutes, when you cross that line, you have to be over 2 minutes long spent in the pit lane. If you're not, that's when the penalties start running in.
Yes, I saw someone get penned for a 0.1 of a second last weekend at Zandvoort in a GT4 race. That was very painful, I'd suggest. Thankfully they didn't have to do a drive through there with a penalty lane, so it wasn't that bad, but it was still a painful result, because it was just after a safety car, so that last 15 positions.
That is painful. There's Misfit Racing then. Oliver Warner's going to take over for the second stint in the Misfit Racing Renault Clio. And there is Ray Honeybone. Now, we'll wait and see now. The number 44, is Ray going to stay in the car, or is Jordan going to take over? I think Jordan's going to take over. Let's find out. Yes, he's having a chat to Ray. I'm pretty sure Ray's going to make his case and to try and stay in the car. Let's see what Jordan does then. No, Ray is getting out of the car. He's done his stint, he's had his fun. It's time for Jordan to bring this one home in the number 44 Apple Car Centre Renault Clio. And yeah, we saw Jordan earlier on today in the Track Day Car Championship. He now gets to finish off in the second stint for the trophy.
There you go. So negotiations have been had. Maybe a little bit of an arm wrestle mid-stop there, and sure enough, both Honeybones will be represented at the wheel of the 44 car in this race. The Renault Clio will be back out onto the circuit shortly. It'll be interesting to see if they can get into that overall top 10. They weren't far away before the pit stop window opened, and one would suspect they've probably made some gains as the pit stops have filtered through. Speaking of pit stops filtering through, Callum McDougall back out onto the circuit. I think maybe come out a little further back in the shuffle than he was before the stop.
Yeah, of course, but all the cars ahead of him have yet to stop, so we'll have to wait and see there.
There you see camera stars there on the live stream. Some of the pit crew and drivers giving us a wave, which is always nice to see. And if you are watching the live stream here at home today and you are in the proximity of this circuit, I heartily suggest you come along tomorrow. It's going to be great fun when we go 9-hour racing for the Enduro category, the Schweinerennen. The 9-hour race at Snet tomorrow is going to be a fabulous time of things. As always, the Honeybone Clio back out onto the circuit as we continue to watch McDougall carving his way through the order in that 141 Caterham.
Yeah, the number 41 BMW is into the pit lane. Michael Rawlings instantly taking that little bit of bodywork off the car, and well, driver change is about to happen. It's going to be Zachewski who jumps in, taking over, and well, obviously they'll be giving the car a once over. I think they've given it a once over by taking the bodywork off.
Yes, one swift movement from Zachewski was all it took to remove the errant bodywork. David will now get behind the wheel and go racing once more.
Absolutely. So what can happen here? I mean, they were part of that battle at the top, near the top as well, for that top 5, top 6 positioning overall. That's just overall, let alone what's happening in their class. They're very much at the pointy end there, as the 114 also in the pit lane as well, in the ST Performance car. Luke Hayes is going to be taking over that machine, and just making sure he's belted in properly and ready to go once again. And I'm sure a couple of words from Jamie about the car and the track conditions out there, because of course this is the perfect time. You get about a minute to spend with your other driver to tell them, actually, here's what the track's like, here's how the car is. Have fun.
1 lap penalty for cars 28 and 116. Now the 116 is the Skelty and Testa Honda Civic. They were defected towards the sharp end. 28 car was Aaron Larley's Ford Fiesta. That's a shame for Larley, who we saw having a good few scraps further back. So 1 lap penalties applied to both cars. That's very, very harsh indeed. I'm just wondering, wasn't fully on the ball, but when those last cars came into the pits, let's hope they beat the pit window closing with 15 minutes to go.
Yes.
Before they started that stop.
Yes, as long as if you enter the pit lane with just over 15 minutes on the clock, you are absolutely fine. So it doesn't matter if the pit window closes whilst you're in the pit lane. So long as you make it before it closes, you will be absolutely fine. Let's see if that happens.
Exactly, so they have to have been through the pit entry by that 15 minutes to go marker, and I don't know whether or not they were. Of course, it is a 2-minute minimum, and we've already gone 2 minutes past 15, so that doesn't necessarily bode well. I'll have to wait and see. Nonetheless, the BMW number 41, now with Zachewski at the wheel, has been taken back out onto the circuit. At the moment, our race leader is Tony Gillum. We saw him 3-shot a few moments ago. There's the car in second place, and of course leading the official classes. The Gillum car is a guest class runner, but Callum McDougall there in second place for now.
Yeah, Callum McDougall leading the B-class cars as well. That's really important to point out there. And the BMW, talking about the number 41, I said it was at the pointy end of the field. It's at the pointy end of its class, and they've been really, really good today. Rawlings with the first in, Zachewski now in the car to take this one home. And they'll just be looking now, maybe with that little bit of damage, just to make sure they get that car to the checkered flag and take a class win with them.
Looks as if the Honeybones have got themselves up into the top 10. It's all a bit shuffly at the moment, what with the pit stops still ongoing. But was that Gillum slowing? I think Gillum was slowing there as they came out of the last corner. Yes, McDougall leads the race, and Tony Gillum has slowed. Oh, what is going on for Tony Gillum? He's just gone past my commentary position in second place. There's your leader, McDougall. And there's Gillum in second. Something's not right there, absolutely. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that on the rest of the lap and see what Gillum does. See how he can try and treat that car. But yeah, disaster so far. Last lap time, yeah, well off. 12 seconds off the car's best. And no, unfortunately, Gillum is, as you say, running slowly, gingerly around the track. Based on the way that car just didn't get out of the corner, I wonder if he's having some gear selection issues or something of that nature. We'll keep an eye on it. Nonetheless, it is Callum McDougall who has taken the lead in the race, then a twist in the tail of this one. McDougall has a huge gap of 33 seconds over the next healthy car, as it were, in the form of the third place on the Civic, the Sembrini car of soloist Jeremy Evans. third overall at the moment, but Gillum looks like he's got decent speed at least so far in this lap, so we may end up with Tony Gillum trying to reclaim what he feels is rightfully his.
Absolutely, that's if the car is in working order, if it's a little bit of on-track diagnostics, if you like. Maybe a control-alt-delete is needed. We'll have to wait and see, as we see now Callum do raising his arm in the air, and he tries to find his way through. Blue flags there, of course, being waved, advising drivers that there is a faster car behind you, just be careful.
Project Honeybone update. They were 6th place across the line. They're now in 5th position. They've got past the number 17 car of Freddie Hewitt. The Mini has been dispatched down to 6th overall, courtesy of Jordan Honeybone, who has now moved the family car, the Apple car, sent to Clio, up into 5th overall.
5th overall and 4th in class as well. They're not too far away from a class podium. They're going to have to be chasing down the 112 of Donovan. I think it's Stuart Donovan in the 7 Motorsports Toyota Celica. So that's the car they're going to be trying to hunt down for a class podium. The issue with that is, though, they're about 6 seconds up the road, but 9 minutes on the clock. Never say never.
No, certainly never say never. There's still a lot of time to go. I don't think we expected Gillum to be 2nd place at any point in this stint, but there we go. Into the pits, meanwhile, has gone the number 81 car, started by Michael Williamson. It's now Chris Earle at the wheel at the moment, but unfortunately at the wheel and only just getting back underway after a 2nd stop of the race, so hopefully they can press on without any further interruptions.
Yeah, just maybe a pit lane diagnostics report then. Maybe just needed the car to be stationary to reset something, but I'll tell you what, look who's, what's his last lap times like? Gillum, yeah, a little bit more back on the pace. Last lap time 2 minutes 12.6 compared to McDougall's 2:13.6, so a 2nd taken out of the gap between them last time about. Whatever happened to Gillum, it looks like there's a fix for it for now.
Moreover, the gap was 2.8 seconds last time across the line. I refuse to believe it's anything more than half a second now as they run through Oggy's. Tony Gillum's car, at least for now, seems to be back and fighting with him. Let's see what happens here on the Bentley straight then. You'd think the Volkswagen would be stronger in a straight line, even though it is far heavier than the Caterham. Roof is about to be pudding-fied, let's say. Couldn't think of a better way to get through that phrase. As they go past the BMW Compact, and sure enough, the Golf is closing. Surely not going to get it done by Brundle Nelson, but yes, that gap is certainly no longer 2.8 seconds. Tony Gillum hunting Callum McDougall as they go through Brundle and Nelson, and Callum McDougall clearly pressing on. Gillum looks to the inside for Mulhall, not close enough at this point. I'm sure that Alex Jones is watching with bated breath here as Gillum again up the inside of Gorham. Surely this time he's done enough. Yes, he has. The superior grip of the Golf, the superior performance of the Golf that runs in the guest class relative to the Class B McDougall car. There's too much to bear for Callum ultimately, despite his best efforts. Lots of sideways driving. Unfortunately, not quite as fast as Tony right now.
Yeah, a bit of a scare for Tony Gillum, but he's back onto the pace and back amongst the lap times as well. What was that last lap time? Even though he's battling 2:11.2, so that's 9/10 slower than the car's personal best and the fastest lap of the race. That just goes to show you that car seems to have, whatever control-alt-delete has happened, has worked.
Very much so, yes. Sometimes a control-alt-delete, or maybe even a pound on the fist of the on the dashboard is all you need. I used to have a router for about 5 years, an internet router that you just had to punch and it would work again.
Well, maybe, yeah.
I'm sure there was science behind it.
I'm sure there was a scientific method. Very much so.
And there we have our, once again, race leader then. Tony Gillum leading the way in that 34 car with just under 6.5 minutes of racing left to go. Of course, once you've had an issue like that, you're not going to be convinced that it won't come back. Nothing in the world will convince Tony Gillum that everything will be fine until the end of this race. He's going to be tense at the wheel of that car. The gap between the 3rd and 4th place cars has come down infinitely, well not infinitely, but certainly has gone down some way. So Breedy Racing's Jeremy Evans there in 3rd place, holding on to the final spot of the overall podium. The 112 car of Stuart Donovan sits there in a 4th position, just behind 2.4 seconds, and lapping slightly quicker is Donovan in the Celica, and hunting them both down at quite a rate of knots, a couple of seconds a lap, is Jordan Honeybone. I think he's just going to run out of time.
Let's see what happens for the remaining 5.5 minutes left in this race. Of course, we're keeping an eye as well on the 148 EST performance now at the hands of Daniel Reed, and since then they're 9th overall at the moment. 2:17.8 was the last lap time. On-track action here is the 88 DP Service Racing. David Trubachowski tries to find his way through, of course. He had a bit of a spin earlier on in this race, managed to do a Honda 360, get it back underway and going again, and he's trying to find his way past the number 21 of Cockerell. So this is a track battle for position. It's for class position as well, and it's for that final podium position in the C class.
Yes, it is. So that is a key fight at the moment with the 24 Civic pressuring rather I should say the 88 Civic. It is the 88 Civic pressuring the back of Cockerell in the 21 Toyota. We are within 5 minutes of this race reaching its conclusion, so the time is of the essence for Trubachowski in the 88 car, the DP Service Racing entry. It's the newer car, but that means very little here. They're both balanced into the same class, Class C. There's the little Abarth, the Assetto Corse Abarth, the single make Abarth 500 variant. We just took a look at that on screen. We haven't seen much of that this weekend, so nice to see the Assetto Corse Racing team out there on circuit, but they're about to be the lap traffic that could get in the hair of Cockerell. Certainly, the Celica was rather tripped up there. Wayne Cockerell under huge pressure once again as we wait to see them through Coram. It's still just about the Celica heading the way in this battle for third in class. It's also for 10th overall. That's running a little bit wide there. Careful of track limits was Trubachowski. Across the line they come to begin lap 18 of the race, and the 88 car looks to the inside, looks to the outside, not close enough for a move through Ritchie's on that occasion, however. Approaching the final 3 minutes of racing, there's going to be 2 more laps then for Tony Gillen to withstand. Again, he'll be hearing noises throughout the car now, giving it momentarily slowed down. However, Tony is hustling now, 209.635 for Gillen. Second place is still Callum McDougall. The gap is out to almost 10 seconds now, 9.7 seconds. Tony Gillen has managed to rejuvenate the gap to, let's say, between first and second. Just looking further back at some of the scraps going on. There's the number 1 car of Alistair Eason, one of the many Mazda MX-5s, always a popular car in races like these, especially in that Class D category. Occasionally you'll see someone strap a turbo to an MX-5 or something and move it further up the grid. Probably one of the most popular entry-level racing cars globally, the Mazda MX-5. Huge community for them here in the UK and in the United States, and, well, much further across the world than that. There's Honeybone in the 44 car, and he has really closed in on Donovan. The gap's down to 8 seconds, but again, I don't think it's quite going to be enough, unfortunately, for Jordan Honeybone in the time that's left. But it's been a very impressive stint from Jordan nonetheless. A well-deserved 5th overall. You see there Jeremy Evans, who's been on a bit of a warpath. He eventually, if things finish as they are, he will eventually have profited from his starting position. It'll look like a rather boring race for him when you look back at the record books. Started 4th, finished 3rd. Of course, at the end of lap 1, he was down almost outside the top 10. I think he was in 10th place at one point. Oh no, 8th place. My apologies, Jeremy. 8th place after the first lap, and has done very well indeed to haul haul himself back through the order in this fashion. Tony Gillen in the Golf Mark 5 pops over the curves at Ritchie's to start the final lap. He clearly hasn't stopped pushing, has he? Of course, Tony, as he alluded to in the earlier interview, after their second place, in Track Day Championship earlier, he said, you know, it's been a while since I've raced, and I think he's firmly back into the groove of racing again. After this day, one would suspect we may see him donning a race suit again in the near future if he can find half an excuse. Very busy between family and business is Tony Gillen, but always good to see him back out on the circuit, the ex-BTCC runner. Ironic that the man behind the Cupra BTCC project laps a Seat on his final lap of this race. Onto the back straight, the Bentley straight he goes for the final time then. Tony Gillen, 13.1 seconds clear, and he, along with Alex Jones, will wrap up a very promising day with the biggest silverware available to the MSBT Track Day Trophy competitors. Of course, they are a guest class entry. The car does exceed the performance of the top class B cars by a little way, but nonetheless, great to have them here and great to have them at the sharp end of the order. And for Tony and for Alex, I'm sure this will be a day they chat about for a while to come. Congratulations, Alex Jones. Congratulations, Tony Gillen and Team Hard, the victors in the MSBT Track Day Trophy. A 45-minute race here at the Sefton 300 circuit. Callum McDougall is about to cross the line to take second overall. He will be the first of the Class B runners home as well in the Nell Caterham. And then rounding out the top three eventually, as of course slowing above on the final lap there. Hopefully nothing too wrong for the Assetto Corsa team. Will be Philip Cannell taking it to the end. We're eagerly awaiting third place across the line. We've still not spotted them yet. There we go, Jeremy Evans coming around Coram now in the Civic. Into the final turn for the final time goes the Samprini Racing entrant. Car looked well sorted today. Evans crosses the line to round out the podium with a flash of the headlights. Fourth place will go to the Celica, driven by Stuart Donovan, and just getting to fifth overall. I think if one more lap had been there, Jordan Honeybone might have got Donovan. Honeybone was just 2.1 seconds off of the Celica at the end of the race there. He could have got fourth, but a good fifth place and a scrap here for sixth overall on the very final lap. Who's going to get there? I think it may well be the Mini, you know. Hewitt. Oh, it's so close. That's too close to call. What does the timing screen say? The timing screen, I don't think is quite registered Rawlings and Zakazewski. Or Zakashevsky, sorry, across the line there. It's a proper drag race between Hewitt and the 41 BMW, but the 41 BMW has just now popped up onto my timing screen. And provisionally at least, it can sometimes change, but provisionally at least that drag race to the line went in favour of the Mini by 0.006 of a second. That was a great run to the line then. So, looks like 7th place will have to do for the 41 crew, the BMW E36 that of course was involved in contact with the Reed family Volkswagen Golf down at Murray's in the first stint of the race. 7th overall, still good enough though for a Class C win, just about beating the 24 Civic of Jonathan Pascal. And there you go, Tony Gillen giving a wave. A good day in the office for Tony. We heard from him when he took second place earlier. in the Track Day Championship, along with Alex Jones, and now they've gone one step better in Track Day Trophy with a bigger grid to contend with as well. And perhaps some slight issues for Tony Gillam at one point there, but all overcome. And the Team Hard crew will be celebrating a good day's work. And Alex Jones, I'm sure, will have the biggest smile on the of anyone in their garage after this result. Congratulations to Alex as he continues to go on his journey, beginning in racing. Callum McDougall and Jeremy Evans rounding out our podium. Donovan, fourth fastest, or completing the top four, as you see, in front of Jordan Honeybone. What could have been if the Honeybones had started a little further up the order rather than the back of the grid? The Hewitt car rounding out the top six. And I believe that down in the media pen, as it were, just outside Parc Ferme, we are about to hear from Kieran McGinley as the order continues to fly through your screen.
Yes, thank you very much, Adam. Yep, I'm down in the pit lane, or I say Parc Ferme. Let's see if we can get a chat to Tony Gillam after.